Hello everybody, this is Gregory of 5-Minute Catholic Apologetics and Living, where 5 minutes of your time may get you to the divine. Today we're going to talk about how you can ask Siri, and Siri will tell you what is the church founded by Jesus Christ. Now before we begin, let's start with a prayer. Nomine Patris et Filii et Spiritus Sancti, Amen. Gloria Patri, Filii et Spiritui Sancto, sic ut era in principio, et nunc et semper, et saecula saeculorum. Before we begin, I posted a picture of my altar. You can't see because it's back over there, but I posted a picture of my home altar on the community page of this website if you want to see what it looks like. And I'm constructing an outdoor garden. My house has a fish pond, and so behind it I'm going to plant some roses and get a pedestal. And right now I have a Sacred Heart of Jesus that I found at a very good price, but Mary gardens typically have Mary, so I'm waiting to find a relatively decent price Mary statue. Also, with the Mary statues, lots of times it's hard to get like one that isn't thousands of dollars. The ones that you see at Catholic parishes are really expensive. But to find one that it's at least 3 feet tall, relatively big, that has a good features that looks like the Virgin Mary can be difficult. And so I'm going to take my time and be patient. Also, finding a pedestal takes some time. But either way. So, Siri, good old Apple products. Ask Siri who founded the Methodist faith. John Wesley. Ask Siri who founded the Baptist faith. John Smith. Ask Siri who founded Mormonism. Joseph Smith. Ask Siri who founded Calvinism. Jean Calvin. Ask Siri who founded Protestantism. Martin Luther. Ask Siri who founded the Catholic Church. It's Jesus Christ. It says Jesus Christ. Now, does this mean anything because Siri said? No, of course not. It's like I have a lot of stock on Apple products. Apple, like all of big tech, is notoriously antichrist, meaning that their values are contrary to the values of Jesus Christ and his church. So it's not like it really means anything. But I will say, look, you can look at the Encyclopedia Britannica back when we had encyclopedias. I grew up with the New World Encyclopedia, the paperbound, and I was a big nerd as a kid, so I would just read each of the books alphabetically and just learn. Most of it was history and geography. But even the Encyclopedia Britannica, if you look up its definition of the Catholic Church, it says church founded by Jesus Christ. What does this mean? It doesn't really necessarily mean anything. If Siri would have said something contrary, like who founded Anglicanism and said Jesus Christ, it doesn't mean anything. Obviously, it's not historically right. I remember I was testing this out and I was at the gym and I asked Siri who founded Episcopalianism, and a guy heard me and he said it was founded by somebody, Archbishop of Canterbury in 597 AD. And I told him, I was like, that's not historically accurate. Episcopalianism, Anglicanism, was not founded until Henry VIII. And really, if you look at the ordinances, the religious ordinances, it wasn't really until his son Edward. But no, look, if you want to have some revisionist history, like we see many Protestants do with how Constantine founded the church, you want revisionist history, England was Catholic for 1,000 years. 1,000 years. When Christianity got up to England, at the end of the Roman Empire, that was the Catholic Church. It was only the Catholic Church at that point. Catholic values. Our Lady of Walsingham, big religious shrine over there. And if that was not the case, why would Henry VIII petition Rome to get annulment if he didn't really think that the country was Catholic? So, you're going to see these kind of departures from historic truth. Either way, what do we know? We know history validates the Catholic Church. That's not necessarily why you should be Catholic, though Cardinal Newman says those who know history cease to be Protestant. So definitely knowing history and certainly knowing church history, and what I mean by that, the patristic fathers, reading the writings of the early theologians, you say the first 600 years, but certainly the first couple of hundred years, probably up to Augustine and Jerome, but certainly read Justin Martyr, Ignatius of Antioch, Irenaeus of Lyon, these guys from the first 200 years, we have their writings. Certainly would tell you that the Catholic Church, or the Orthodox Church, is the true church is founded by Jesus Christ. So history vindicates Catholicism. Certainly history does not vindicate Protestantism. And any Protestant who's intellectually honest and doesn't have cognitive dissonance will defer to this point. Their church was not founded by Jesus Christ. Now, many Protestants belong to a megachurch. How can you say you're a megachurch pastor? How can you say that? That church, the 10th Baptist Church on Main Street, was founded by Jesus Christ. Now, many times when you talk to people who go to these churches, they don't even believe in the idea of a visible church, that Christ even founded a visible church, even though Christ said it, that he did find a visible church. Upon you, Peter, I'll build my church. When you don't agree and you're fighting with somebody, bring a friend. And when that doesn't work, take it to the church. Right? There's tons of examples. He intended to create a visible church. It wouldn't make sense that he would want to create a visible church until he and all of his apostles are dead and then the church goes invisible. It makes no sense historically for that to even occur. And if you look at Luther and Calvin, they actually believed in a visible church. You know, it's fascinating. Like if you look at Luther believed in the real presence of the Eucharist. Luther believed in many of the Marian dogmas. And certainly Luther believed in the visible church. He tried to spin it, just like Calvin, that their church was the true church founded by Jesus Christ because they wanted that kind of legitimacy, the apostolic succession and so forth. And same for the Anglicans later on. But no, history vindicates the Catholic Church. Absolutely. The Catholic Church can trace its lineage from Peter through the successors of Peter 266 times to Pope Francis. No other church can do that. We have a list. We have the list. Now, you can debate Petrine authority, like the schismatic Orthodox will, but we have separate episodes on that. And you can argue these other things, but history vindicates the church. And when something that is so far left as Apple even says that the church was founded by Jesus Christ, it's not like, I'm sold, sign me up, like a Protestant hearing this. Look, the Holy Spirit will work through you. Follow your conscience, Protestants. Follow your conscience. Eventually, if you do enough research, your conscience will eventually pull you to Catholicism. It will. And we must follow our conscience. That's what Luther's argument was when he was brought in front of the authorities. He said, I'm following my conscience. Well, your conscience can be misinformed, obviously. But at some point, you must follow your conscience. And if you do enough research, you'll realize that there's no other church that can say that it is the church founded by Jesus Christ, but the Catholics. Catholic Church, founded in 33 AD, so to speak. I have that bumper sticker and t-shirt if you like to buy. There's a link in the episode notes. And when it comes to the Orthodox, certainly the Orthodox have apostolic succession, the Orthodox have valid sacraments, but we have separate episodes here on the issues with Orthodoxy, and mostly they've turned their back on Petrine authority. And when you turn your back on Petrine authority, not surprisingly, then a lot of the theology starts to fall apart, just like it did in Protestantism. So guys, test it out. If you have an Apple product, see what it says. I'd love to hear from you. Until next time, take care, God bless, and pray.